In order to understand Edinburgh 2010, we need to look back to 100 years ago and Edinburgh in 1910, the famous World Missionary Conference, which brought together Protestant missionaries and representatives of mission boards and churches from around the globe. But they were, of course, all Europeans. There were just 17 representatives of what they called the native churches in those days. And the Protestant missionaries of 1910 got together to talk about mission, having done a great deal of study, 8 different commissions, which were mainly about mission methods and relations with churches with governments, and the way in which churches could cooperate in mission. In the view of Edinburgh 1910, mission was about the evangelisation of the world in this generation. Everybody was agreed about that. There was no question. Mission was simply a matter of obedience to Christ and to the Great Commission that Christ had given. And it was assumed that there was only one way of understanding that Great Commission. In order to fulfil the Great Commission better, all that was necessary was to improve the method. The means of mission also was unquestioned. It was through missionary societies. And the framework in which mission happened was the framework, the way in which the world was ordered at the time, the system of colonialism, where Europeans were dominant and other countries were seen as part of the churches that were set up in Europe. In 2010, the world has changed. Yes, the Western nations are still dominant, but the Christian world is configured in a very different way. There are very many large and powerful churches and Christian movements in the global south, in the majority world. And many more Christians live there now than live in the North Atlantic. The future of Christianity is not seen to depend on decisions taken in Europe and North America, but has much more to do with what is happening in the global south. And questions have been raised in the last 100 years about the way that mission was done back in that imperialistic period. And so as we gather in 2010, the world is a different place and the way we understand mission is different. Edinburgh 2010, in contrast to 1910, is also not confined to the North Atlantic. 60% of the delegates at the conference and many people involved in the study process will be from the churches of what's sometimes known today as the Global South, or the majority world. And the conference itself has a worldwide scope. So Edinburgh 2010 is a gathering primarily of churches, not mission societies. And they understand mission to be at the heart of church life, not a specialist activity for those with a special enthusiasm for reaching the lost. Mission is understood to be not a matter only of strategy and getting better at doing the same things, but considering in each different context what is the best way to go about sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. Therefore, mission is a matter of theology as well as method. In 2010, theological differences will be examined and expressed rather than suppressed as they were in 1910. And the way the Great Commission is interpreted will be recognised to be different in different churches in different parts of the world. And by looking at that together, we hope to understand one another better and understand our commission in a new way. The mission theology of Edinburgh 2010 is expressed in the phrase "witnessing to Christ today," which is the motto of the conference. And this puts mission in a different light from the expression, the evangelisation of the world in this generation. The focus is on Christ and our response to Christ. And to the fact that God is active in the world today, and we are responding to that, rather than mission being a task which is set for the churches to do. It is part of the way we are as churches and as Christians around the world. It's been very much influenced by the theology of Missio Dei, that mission is something that God does primarily, and in which the churches are privileged to join and Christians participate. Mission is understood in 2010 not so much as a task, but as a spiritual endeavour, part of our spirituality as Christians, part of the way that we live our Christian lives. And it's something that happens everywhere, not just from the West to the rest, but wherever we live our lives in a plural world. And especially a big change from 1910 is that we do mission in Europe also, and in North America. These are not only senders but also receivers of mission.